People magazine. Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon. And it says here, older women and young men. And what caught my attention about this article is it says, together for only a month, the couple in the Hamptons in August had a Bahamas wedding in April. Here's what Nick Cannon said. He said, it was a love at first sight thing, the groom told People. And that's what I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about two issues in one. I'm going to try to hit two issues in one. I invite your comments. I want to talk about love at first sight, and then I want to talk about actually three. I think we can deal with three on this topic. Love at first sight 1, interracial relationships 2, and 3 is older age variance of couples. Yeah. Okay, let's start talking about love at first sight. Now, my personal opinion, I do not believe there is any such thing as love at first sight. You cannot have love at first sight. And if you say it was love at first sight, and if you believe in love at first sight, it says, number one, you don't know what love is. Number two, the very name tells you what it really is. Love, it is not. At first sight, it's based on visual. If it's based on visual, and notice it was a man, it was Nick Cannon that said it. Women say it too, but this is a majority of men. Watch this. If it's based on visual, that means you so-called fell in love based on what you saw. What did Nick Cannon see? He saw Mariah Carey. Look at this body. Now, she might not have the sexiest and the best body in the world, but there's a lot of men who would sure be turned on to seeing Mariah Carey. Okay, so his visual perception, you can't judge a person's character by what you see. It's simple as that. Do you know love is based on relationship? That's right. You love a person, you grow in love, you don't fall in love. But you love a person the more you get to know them. You grow in love, you don't fall in love. But you love a person the more you get to know them. You grow in love, you grow in love, you don't fall in love through relationship. Love is not something that is harvested outside of relationship. You can't, it's impossible. Anything outside of relationship is not love at all. It's mostly lust. And from pheromones to our eyes, men are visual, women are stimulated by what they hear, and the touch of the skin of a woman. All those things are carnal. They're according to our physical body. Now, the problem is not when we're drawn and attracted to a person because of those physical things. It's when that's all there is to it. Now, that's where it's lust. And I was just so excited to see her. And I was just so happy she was coming. My mind was just focused on her. And I'll never forget, I was sitting at the airport, and I'm sitting there, you know, my head down, back and forth, and looking up to see if she's coming through the gates, the airport. And I had noticed that there was a female who eyed me, and I ignored it because, you know, people just look, and they're looking around, and they're, you know, panning, and, you know, they just happen to look at you. So I ignored it and thinking she was just looking around. So she did it again. She looked over at me again, but she started locking into me as if meeting me eye to eye. And I looked at her, and she was very gorgeous. And what was interesting is she changed her position physically as if she was trying to turn me on. The only thing that probably kept me from going over there and talking to her, or if she came over to talk to me, that would have stopped me from engaging in anything further with her, was I loved the woman I was waiting for at the airport. And basically, if it's all lust, let me tell you something. You're not going to be faithful. I'm just being honest. You're not going to be faithful. When a relationship gets consumed in lust, faithfulness becomes almost impossible. I'm going to be honest with many of you. So if you have entered into a relationship based on love or lust, which is really lust at first sight, you really should question the motives. You really should question what brought this relationship together and deal with it, because you're setting yourself up for failure and for hurt. Now, I'm not one to say that Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon's relationship is not going to work out, and because it was built on lust. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying because, oh, maybe it was built on lust. I don't know, you see, but I'm just using what Nick Cannon said as a lesson for us, and I'm just using them as an example relationship. Now, you don't know and I don't know what the future holds for them in their relationship, so I can't judge them. But what I can do is I can judge the statement in People's Magazine, and that's what I'm using. Now, whether his statement indicts him of being making the choice of choosing her because of her physical features and everything outward, I don't know. So, you know, we don't know what will turn out with them, but we do know that everything in life is based on principle, and you should build a relationship based on principles. You should build a business based on principles. You should build your life based on principles. Everything you should do it based on principles. And in this area, we're talking about relationships. You should build it on principles. In my next video, I'm going to talk about interracial relationships, and then I'm going to talk about relationships that has an age variance. I think these are two topics when we deal with relationships that are not really dealt with in depth. We're not dealing with okay, when you talk about interracial relationships, are they stronger, better, weaker, worse, different? What's the difference from an interracial relationship and just a regular normal racial relationship within the confines of a race? So in my next video, I'm going to deal with that. And then we're going to see the love in an interracial relationship. Does it water down love, strengthen love? What's the difference? You know, does melanin make the love better? You know, is once you go black, do you go back? Or, you know, hey, I don't know. Just because she's white, is she out of sight? I don't know. But we're going to talk about that in one of my other videos. And then I'm going to talk about the age variance. You know, older couples. So send me your thoughts. Send me your comments. Let's create a dialogue around this. And let's talk about the love at first sight thing. Let's talk about interracial relationships. And let's just see what we can come up with. Sidney Poitier in this issue. This is the November 10th, 2008 issue. Sidney Poitier and Jennifer Hudson. Yeah. Wow. Mutual admiration. Oscar winners Sidney Poitier and Jennifer Hudson. It said Oscar winners, 2 generations apart. Wow. Greet during the recent Black Perspective. And what is interesting, what you're looking at here, just as we're talking about the Obama thing, in the entertainment and drama world, Sidney Poitier was as Obama was in politics, or is, I'm sorry. Sidney Poitier is as Obama is in politics and the presidential election. Sidney Poitier is that in the entertainment industry. During the time when race, it was just not common for a black man to be on TV married to a white woman in a movie. When I was in school, I did not know why. I was young, and people say, you look just like, and it were mostly older people who said it, teachers and older people would say, you look just like Sidney Poitier when he was young. And I would say, I didn't know nothing about Sidney Poitier back in the day. I think I learned about him because of people saying that. And I say, wow. So one day I looked at my father after getting older and seeing a lot of Sidney Poitier. I looked at my father and I couldn't believe the striking resemblance he had of Sidney Poitier. And I said, wow, that's why people said I look like Sidney Poitier, because my father looked just like him. So when I see Sidney Poitier, I think in my mind I'm looking at my father. He looked just like my father. But anyway, I admire him a lot. He did a lot.